It looks
From
like
your-
we call it Dracula house. So
Dracula house.
well, we are not given. We are disappointed by NATO's unwillingness to give us a perspective, at least, because we're not talking about the joining NATO within 2 months. We're talking about the perspective. Now we have 2 million Muslim people in Ukraine.
2 million people.
Around 2 million, maybe 1.5 million, yes, in Ukraine. It's not, yes, it's small, but a small community, but compared to Indonesia. Merdeka atau mati.
Konflik masih terus terjadi di antara dua negara tetangga yang berseteru, Rusia dan Ukraina. Berbagai negosiasi dilakukan, namun sayangnya hal itu masih menemui jalan buntu. Apa sebenarnya yang melatar belakangi konflik ini dari kacamata Ukraina? Dan apa saja yang perlu diketahui oleh masyarakat dunia? Teman kumparan, kali ini kami berkesempatan untuk berbincang bersama Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia, Vasil Hamyanin. Bersama saya, Alia Bunga, di To The Point, Ukraina menjawab Rusia. Halo, Mr. Ambassador. Hai, apa kabar?
Selamat siang. Saya ingin menjawab baik, tapi saat ini tidak bisa.
So sad to hear. Are you looking at the Russian embassy right now?
Yeah, sometimes, from time to time, just have a look at the enemy.
What do you think of it?
About the embassy.
Yeah, from here,
It looks
from
like
your
we call it Dracula house. So
Dracula house.
yeah, so
Mhm.
it looks like it, and it feels like it.
Mm,
You know, like house of a vampire.
okay. So, shall we start our interview now?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Tentu saja.
Okay.
Sit here.
Your Excellency, Vasil Hamyanin, could you please tell us how is the current situation of Russia's invasion in Ukraine? Like, for example, to be more specifically, how much damage has Russia's armies inflicted in Ukraine and vice versa? How is Ukrainian's army inflicted in Russia? Could you please explain us a bit?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam.
wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua, bagi Indonesia dan bagi Ukraina. It's something we pray every day for the peace, for happiness of our people and of people all over the world. Since the start of this neo-colonialist war against Ukraine, now we can, if you're asking me about the damages, casualties in army, well, these statistics is open. I really do not feel like very happy talking about people died, even if those people are invaders, because it's no good. Every life is priceless. But since they came to kill us, people happen to resist, happen to cause some casualties also. But at present, as far as I know, the reported casualties of the Russian army is like about 13,000 people.
13,000.
And in Ukrainian army reported, in the army reported is like about 10 times less, 1,300, 1,300. But we have massive casualties among the civilians, because when the first phase of war was unsuccessful for Russia, within 3 days they didn't manage to occupy any single town, any single city. So they started bombing the civilians. They started shelling the just quarters where people live, concentrate. It included the hospitals, maternity houses, schools, everything. So the casualties among the civilians are really big. Only according to the statistics of the United Nations, it's open data, but only confirmed we have more than 600 people died, including many children, like maybe 1/5 are children. And it is very painful to talk about this. And Then you have like thousands of thousands of houses damaged or destroyed, like hundreds of schools, hundreds of hospitals damaged or destroyed. At least we know that in city of Mariupol, which is the worst, I think the situation is worst with, it's just been ruined, in some places just ruined, destroyed to the ground. And yeah, there's no electricity, no water supplies, no gas, no heating. People don't have place to live, no food, no medicines. So it is really tough. And yes, I have friends who still there, and now there is a sort of mobile brigades of volunteers in Mariupol who just travel around, charge the mobile phone from the car, and then let people call the relatives, call the families to tell them they are alive. So that's why I know they are alive still, but in very, very serious condition. So like Mariupol, Kharkiv now facing humanitarian catastrophe. It's really severe.
Recently, the Ukrainian and the Russian government are working together to open humanitarian corridors for civilians in need to escape from Ukrainian war zones. How is the recent development of Ukraine's evacuation effort for its citizens? Is it true that the Ukrainian government is instead closing the humanitarian corridors so its citizens cannot escape? How do you think about that?
It's important for all of people who listen to you, who watches us, to understand the truth, right? Can you imagine the country under attack, under the bombings and shellings, not providing the possible evacuation corridors for its own citizens? So it's just unimaginable. What the truth is that we managed to approve some corridors, but mainly from the small cities, and only from one Sumy, which is bigger a little bit, but not from Mariupol, and still not from Chernihiv. Kyiv doesn't need the corridors because people can just evacuate from Kyiv if they want. So there are safe ways. So like my family evacuated 4 days ago from Kyiv also, because they are just elders, women, and children. No one else. And it's very important to understand Russia started the unhuman and cruel war against the nation, Ukrainian nation, and now it is targeting directly at the citizens, at the civil population, at the women and children. That's why they do not approve the evacuation corridors for big cities like Mariupol and Chernihiv. That's why even the mayor of Chernihiv told me, vice mayor told me on the phone that it is safer in the city, even under bombings sometimes, than to leave the city, because Russian troops are given orders to open fire at anything that moves. To open fire, and what they do, some people try to escape on civilian cars, and they were just killed directly from the tank, or from the grenades. It's a really sad story. It's tragedies for us, and what they propose. But you look at the picture from the other side. Russian, Kharkiv is the second biggest city in Ukraine, right? And it's like 38 kilometers from the border, 38 kilometers. And it's 1,000 kilometers from Kharkiv across Ukraine to Lviv, the western part of Ukraine, right? So when the two corridors were open to Russia and to Lviv, not a single citizen went to Russian direction, however close it is, however safe it is. Not a single one. They all tens of thousands of people left in western direction. No one wants to go to the territory of occupant. Same story with Mariupol. They opened small corridor and then nobody went. And they opened the corridor towards Ukraine, and then our intelligence discovered there are mines. So Russians, what they do, they put mines under the ground. So if people start evacuating, they would just blow up. And so what is this war? I mean, how do they feel it, the people who came to my country?
The Ukrainian president currently staying in Kyiv.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, despite of the fact that the Russian forces are closing the borders, as you said.
Yes. Unlike Russian president who stays somewhere in very remote place.
And why does the President Zelensky choose to stay instead of fleeing to safety?
President Zelensky is our hero now, independently of what some people used to discuss him or being unsatisfied with what he did as president. But now he's a hero and he is a real leader of my country. And there are many rumors. There used to be many rumors about his escape to evacuation or something to the United States or Poland or something. But now he makes it right. So every day he makes the selfie somewhere near the presidential house or in Kiev, in the center of Kiev, and telling the people, now it's the 16th day of war, now it's 19th day of war, and give some facts so people understand he's there and it's not like pre-recorded. So he's, it's very important when you have this sort of war. It's very important for the nation to be like bersatu, yeah? And it's very important too to have a leader that stays together with the people. And moreover, I would say that not only the president, prime minister, the whole cabinet, the minister of defense, minister of foreign affairs, they all stay in Kiev. And the majority of members of parliament also in Kiev, so they didn't evacuate. Well, it's pathetic, but I think that they are ready to fight together and to die together if necessary. So this is the spirit of the real leader, like General Sudirman over there on the picture.
Yeah, you know him?
Sure, yes. We few months ago we translated the movie Darah Garuda into Ukrainian, and many Ukrainians watched it already. Yes, so
it's popular in Ukraine.
Well, I don't know if it's popular, but many people watched it. We made some presentations, and people, at least they know what it is about. At that time, we didn't find Hati Merdeka and Merah Putih, these two films, so we could not translate them. But at least one we have, yes.
So the next question is there is a known significant difference between Ukrainian and Russian force, right? With this difference, how does Ukraine managed to hold that for so long, knowing that the United States and a few European countries repeatedly said that they won't send armies or jets to Ukraine? And how does Ukraine manage to survive?
It is an easy question to answer because that's what we call overall resistance. The nation is fighting against the enemy now, and the armies are more or less the same, but the motivation is very different. Those who came as invaders, many of them, I would believe, they believed that they will be very welcomed by Ukrainian citizens, with greeting with flowers and all the same. And it didn't happen. On the contrary, they are, being cursed and being hit and being shot and everything. So the invaders are feeling very uncomfortable, and they don't have really motivation to fight. What for? On the contrary, our militaries and our self-defense troops and even the nation, all who can fight, they fight. Hunters who used to, we have many hunters in Ukraine, so they also took the weapons and they used to use and fight back. So it's obvious. So, yeah.
Mr. Ambassador, you mentioned about Mariupol, the most destructed city, and then it was attacked Wednesday, leaving 3 people dead. But the Russian claimed that the hospital has stopped operating days before the attack was begun, and that the hospital was taken over Ukrainian forces to store arms and weapons. They also claimed that the injured pregnant woman pictured at the scene was a beauty blogger playing the role as a bombing victim. Is the Ukrainian government aware of this situation?
If we start listening to every piece of lies disseminated by the Russian propaganda, there will be thousands of volumes, and we would just, waste all our time only to looking through these lies. You just think logically. The president of Russia and minister of foreign affairs of Russia and all the diplomats here, like in Indonesia also inclusive, they till this moment say that there is no war in Ukraine. There is a sort of military operation in the eastern part of Donbass only. The Russian missiles and bombs are not dropping and not targeting at our cities, blah blah blah. So this is all like blatant lies in cold blood. I don't understand who will believe this now, because we live in this 21st century and everybody is filming, everybody is saying. So by the way, this pregnant lady died yesterday. There was a report that she was injured but then died.
So it's true that she's not just like a beauty blogger who is playing role.
She could be anyone. I don't know who she was. She could be actress. She could be. I mean, she was a pregnant woman in this moment, right? She was a woman who needed to deliver, and she was just killed, right? And I mean, they speak about this particular maternity house that what military people occupied and all this stuff. They destroyed hundreds of hospitals and schools. How did they explain this? So I understand they're trying to do anything to justify, but what they do, but nothing can justify this. No thoughts, dreams, doubts, or anything can justify the massive killings of civilians. And this is now a crimes against humanity, which now started to be considered by the Hague Tribunal already. So this is when they gonna end.
Now we're gonna talk about the sanctions for Russia. What is your opinion about the sanctions that a lot of nations are giving Russia over the attacks on Ukraine? And do you think are these sanctions enough to stop Russia's invasion and helping Ukraine's cause? What do you think?
I'm very supportive as every Ukrainian and grateful to the government who imposed sanctions on Russia, because in case of Putin, in case of Russia, we know him well because we were growing up in the same country. For a man like him, anything that can be that was like targeted at like politeness or something is viewed as weakness. So he understands only one language of force. So he doesn't understand negotiation, like diplomacy, the persuasions, even threats. When Americans said that they will impose sanctions, they were just laughing, say, okay, come on, do it. But they understand only one, sanctions and the resistance, military resistance. That's what they understand really well. And I am grateful to those, I repeat, who imposed sanctions, but of course I would love to have the scale of the sanctions. I would like to see it wider, bigger, and the pressure harder from every nation, every democratic nation in the world. The sooner sanctions start really working, the sooner this war will come to an end, for sure.
But do you think at this moment, is it enough to stop the invasion?
It's started working, but sanctions, unlike the weapons, they don't bring the desired effects in days. It could take weeks, it could take months, right? But still now, but the trend is very obvious. So Russian people start to understand something is wrong with this country, right? So it's very important to harden the pressure on Putin, because only this can stop the war. Not long-term negotiations, peacekeeping, like whatever, like peace negotiations and diplomacy. It will take a long time, and it is important for everybody in this world for this war to stop. It's because it's not the war. Well, to take it as reality, this is war of neo-colonialism against democracy. It's not just Russia against Ukraine. No. It's neo-colonialism against democracy worldwide. So if we don't stop this war, it will like plague. It will go to the other regions. It will go to the other countries. And Ukraine now is really a stronghold for the world, not only for Europe. as it was like back in 13th century when Mongolians attacked, like crossed all the Asia and half of Europe, and then stopped by Ukrainians actually. Ukraine at that time it was destroyed, but they didn't move any further to Europe. So, and now the history is repeating.
There are citizens, as you said, all over the world who are eager to be a part of Ukraine's fight against Russia. There will have been news of Japanese and United States citizens signing up as a volunteer army for the Ukrainian forces. What do you think about that?
Thank you. Thank them. God bless them, and please stay alive. It's not only just from Japan or from United States. Many countries. We have now we have volunteers from Belarus, from Chechnya, even yes, they come from Georgia, from Europe, many European countries, from the UK. They come, but they come proudly, not like mercenaries, right? They come proudly, and they fight together with the army of Ukraine, with the government of Ukraine against the invasion, against the aggression. So I'm really proud. We have so many friends, and these guys are really like they have everything to lose. You see, these guys are not just like mercenaries. They are well off. They are happy. They are safe. Why would they go there? Not for money. They're not paid big money. Just like I don't know if they are paid volunteers. I don't think they are paid. So it's not for money. It's not about money at all. It's about what is right.
It's about humanity.
It's about humanity. Absolutely, absolutely.
Russia claimed that one of the goals of their operation is to denazify and demilitarize Ukraine. Vladimir Putin also claimed that the Ukrainian government is killing Russian ethnicity in Ukraine. What is your opinion on that?
Demilitarize is, I would send you and your readers to the Surabaya speech of Bung Tomo. Remember what the demands of the British Army were? To demilitarize, give up your weapons and surrender. What did he answer? And what is the result? Indonesia Merdeka. This is what exactly what happens now. They want us to give up weapons and say, we surrender, please do not kill us, whatever. No, it's not going to happen. Because as they say, as the Indonesian bulls have enough blood to make this Bendera Putih turn into Merah Putih. So we have enough blood to do this as well. This is for demilitarization. It's a stupid, absolutely stupid demand, which never going to happen. As for the denazization, look, whom do you want to denazi something? The eastern part of Ukraine, now under massive bombing and shellings, is basically Russian-speaking population, is Russian-speaking part of Ukraine. So are they going to make those people already Russian-speaking and before, many years ago, still like feeling a lot of sentiments toward Russia? Do you want to denazify them or whom? Mariupol is 100% Russian-speaking. Kharkiv is 100% Russian-speaking city. Sumy, nearly. They tried to denazify Donbass, like all those occupied territories back in 8 years before, right? But why the people from these occupied territories ran to Ukraine after the war started 8 years ago, not to Russia? They don't want to be, maybe they don't want to be like liberated or something. They want to be denazi something. And Vladimir Zelensky also comes from like me, from the eastern part of Ukraine. His native city, Kryvyi Rih, Russian speaking. So who are the Nazi? I'm asking. What are they talking about? The president, who is like Russian speaking, and now the whole nation supports him. No one, we're not talking that people are afraid of him or whatever they do. Everybody, 99% of support. It's unbeatable, you see. So whom do they want to denazify? I think that who really needs denazification is Russia.
Why do you think so?
Because Russian regime during last at least 20 years, no, before, during last 30 years, it hold massive repressions against the minorities, against the Muslim people. You remember Chechen War? How many hundreds and thousands of children and women and men died, were just killed, murdered in cold blood? How about Moldova? How about Georgia? How about all those? What happened in Russia? And you just open Wikipedia and you'll see how many, just say, Nazi organizations in Russia. There are many registered. Everything like racism, like intolerance. This is what Russia has been famous, notoriously famous for years. And if you look at Ukraine, I mean, we don't have nuclear weapons. We don't have we're not NATO members. We don't give any perspective even of NATO. We have officially registered like more than 100 ethnic groups, all sorts of people in Ukraine, all languages, many religions, including Islam. And we are officially treated in the ratings one of the most tolerated country in the world, because we have many and they live together and they don't fight and they know humiliation, nothing like this.
They respect the differences.
I think the country in question for denazification is Russia.
I see. Thank you. There has been a lot of news circulating about the Azov battalion.
Azov.
Yeah, Azov battalion being a part of Ukrainian forces. The battalion itself suspected being neo-Nazi organizations, and recently there is a viral video showing Ukrainian neo-Nazi Azov fighters coating bullets with pig fat.
I saw this fake. Okay.
Apparently they use that against Muslim Chechens forces. So how would you like to clarify the situation?
The people who are responsible for dissemination of these stories, right? They should think about two important things.
Okay, what is that?
First is that many combatants, many soldiers fighting in Azov battalion are Muslims. You can see the videos of guys who are originally from Chechnya, from Azerbaijan, who are Muslims, and they're fighting together. So would you think that Muslim people would allow something like this happening? Second, they're trying to distract attention from the big aggression to whatever neo-Nazi battalion. I mean, what are you talking about? People are defending their land, and because they are defending their land, they are Ukrainian speaking, Russian speaking, Azerbaijan speaking, whatever people in this battalion. So they are defending their land, and because they don't surrender, they are called neo-Nazi or something. It's like to distract attention from the big war.
So it's just like a distraction.
Yes, it's like, pay attention to this, but you forget about the big thing, big war, big aggression. Third is about Muslim population, right? Now we have 2 million Muslim people in Ukraine.
2 million people.
Around 2 million, maybe 1.5 million, yes, in Ukraine. It's not, it's small, but a small community, but compared to Indonesia. But it is very united, and they have been living with Ukrainian people for many years. But now, after occupation of Crimea, the homeland of these Muslim people, where the masjid and madrasa and everything is there, they fled to Ukraine for some reasons. They didn't stay there because it's dangerous to live in Russia for Muslim people. Remember Chechnya, I repeat again, Ossetia, Chechnya and all this, what they did to Dagestan, all those terroristic activities, Russian government and FSB undertook in the Muslim regions of Russia. Now in Crimea, the Majlis of Crimean Tatars is forbidden, as banned as a terroristic organization. The Parliament of Tatars, So who is the terrorist and who is Nazist? And then now, when Crimean Tatars, under the leadership of Mufti of Crimea, Mufti of Ukraine, with the prayers for the country, with the prayers for the people, fighting against the aggressor, at the very same time, Russian government deploys the Chechen I don't know who they are, those people in Chechnya, but obviously the Kadyrov guys, right? They send them to Ukraine to kill Ukrainians and also to kill brother Muslims. What is the how do you call this? I mean, this is a great sin in any religion, in Islam inclusive. They send Muslims to kill Muslims on the territory of their own motherland. You know? I think every time you come across that sort of piece of news, think about the big picture. Think about facts, real facts.
Next question. President Putin has been called for a dialogue by President Zelensky several times.
Yeah.
But President Putin has yet to respond. Is there a possibility of diplomatic resolve at this point? What do you think?
At this point, no. I think that, first of all, Volodymyr Zelensky, as I repeat, he stays in Kiev and he is a free man. He is communicating with people every day, many times, with media, with everyone. So he's open for everything. Unlike Putin, who is hiding somewhere in Ural region, in his bunker, and don't even let his own people to approach him. It's like, did you see this table, right? Like 10 meters long or something? So this is, now it's it's a story. So he lives somewhere underground, and I would not imagine he will leave the bunker and goes anywhere for any sort of dialogue, right? But if you would ask me about in general terms about the diplomatic resolution of the problem, I would say that the war can be finished only after Russian aggressors stop killing civilians. This will be the main and only condition for start of real negotiations on whatever level. Stop killing the civilians, stop the atrocities, and then we can sit down and talk. And then the diplomatic solutions may come.
Mr. Ambassador, would you please tell us why is Ukraine choosing to put its trust in the collective West and wants to join NATO? And is it true that now Ukraine no longer wants to be part of NATO?
There are two questions. First question, answer is very obvious. You see what's going on in Ukraine. If we were the NATO members, this could never happen. Yeah. So NATO was created after the Second World War like a defensive alliance, defensive against countries like Russia, like Soviet Union that time, or like Germany at that time, because everybody understood that however Soviet Union was one of the countries who defeated Nazism, but this country, USSR, didn't change its nature, aggressive nature, and like colonialist nature of expanding. So NATO was and is a real how do you payung? What is the umbrella for a shelter, umbrella for smaller countries, I would say. Because in Europe, I don't think that like many nations in this situation may oppose the aggressive attack by Russia. I think Ukraine is one of the few because it has been preparing for a long time already. But if it is attack on maybe Latvia or Estonia or Poland or I don't know what, then it might be more dramatic and more tragic. That's why the collective security is very important for countries like Ukraine, like our neighbors, against the big and cruel enemy. And as for the second one, no, we didn't give up the plans to join NATO. However, we are disappointed by NATO's unwillingness to give us a perspective at least. Because we're not talking about the joining NATO within 2 months, we're talking about the perspective. Give us the perspective. 10 years, 12 years, 20 years, I don't know, but nothing. So yes, there is a disappointment, but no, we would not give up. Because it's enshrined in our constitution. Like if we want to change it, we have to change the constitution. It's not it's not impossible, but we can, it needs referendum, it needs the parliament to approve, etc. So, yeah.
Okay. The next question is amongst Russia's terms for Ukraine to stop the invasions are for Ukraine to promise to never be a part of NATO. for Ukraine to acknowledge that Crimea as a part of Russia, and for Ukraine to recognize the breakaway region of Lugansk and Donetsk as independent regions, republics. Is Ukraine ready to agree or at least discuss the following term for the promise of peace? What do you think?
First thing, we don't trade by our land, we don't trade by our people, we don't trade by our brothers and sisters. I repeat, the Crimea is the homeland to the Muslim minority in Ukraine, and the Crimean Tatars is their land. So how would we betray our brothers and sisters and say that's okay, Crimea goes back and goes to Russia and we never claim it back? What would we become then? Now they are fighting for Ukraine with us together. So, and we say, okay, we'll just give up this. Never going to happen. And the second part of my answer, it's the Russian attack on Ukraine now is weakened substantially. So now we understand that this army can be stopped, can be defeated. And you watch the negotiations, first round, second round, third round. Yeah. They decrease and decrease and decrease the demands, right? So next round will be like, I would say that maybe one of the next rounds, it will be like a request for Ukraine, please stop killing the aggressors because we are nearly run out of everything. So I think it will be decreasing and decreasing. I repeat, we don't trade by motherland, we don't trade by Tanahir. Yeah.
But do you at least agree to discuss about it for the peace, for the sake of peace?
You see, maybe Putin's whatever target is not Donbass, is not Crimea, is not this. They want Ukraine as a whole, well, at least the biggest part of it. So how can you discuss with the people of anything like this if they don't want us to be independent? If they call Ukraine anti-Russia, if they call Ukraine non-existent state or something like this, they don't give us the right to be independent and free country. So this ideology needs opposing, and what they propose now is like outrageous. It's not the starting point for peace negotiations. Starting point for peace negotiations is ceasefire and stop killing civilians. This is starting point, not the questions on Crimea or Donbass or whatever else.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador, there are a few questions from our readers that we would like to clarify to you. If you don't mind, may I read it to you?
Yes.
Okay. The first one is, how many biological laboratories are deadlier than COVID in Ukraine, as Russia alleges and reported by World Health Organization? And is it true that it is a form of cooperation between Ukraine and US and NATO? Can you please clarify?
Okay, again, please do not, what they do, I mean Russians, they take a piece of truth, very small one, and then create a big house around it and put all the lies around it. So like what? The biological weapons, yes, weapons of mass destruction. This news is really ring a very serious bell for us and for the world. As the United States, someone from I don't know, don't remember who, but they say this is a very bad news because if they start talking about biological weapons, they may try to use it on Ukraine, chemical or biological or anything else, because the nuclear, biological and chemical weapons are listed in all the international organizations. So it is clear and well known who is the owner of this or that weapon, right? So it is fact that Russia possesses the chemical and biological and nuclear weapons. And it is also the fact that Ukraine doesn't have any sort of biological or chemical or nuclear weapons, right? It's a fact. And look at the piece of news about the laboratories. It's like Russian, someone like intelligence, somewhere found the remains of laboratories which was destroyed by Ukrainian army before they like retreated. And there are traces of whatever biological virus, blah, blah, blah. So it's news without any single concrete fact. And do you know how would it take for a really strong team of experts, like from United States or Europe, to really discover, prove, and provide the report of such scale? Months, weeks, and Russians who don't even have the normal equipment, they did it in 2 days. I mean, it looks like a fairy tale for me. As for the whatever cooperation in whatever laboratories between Ukraine and other countries like US or something, you can just check on site. It's open. I know for sure that there were laboratories where they created a new hybrids of corn and wheat or something like this, because Ukraine is, as you know, is a big producer of agricultural products. But after the Soviet Union, all these technologies were lost, and now they are helping us to create the new hybrids for the corn, for the wheat, for this. This I know. I don't know if Russians exploited these laboratories. Okay, people start joking already. So we will like create the new missile-like corn that would be used like ballistic missile. It's stupid, and again, it's distraction of attention from the war.
Okay, that's the question. Thank you for the question. Disreal_Yudo for Instagram. The next one, if the no-fly zone over Ukraine cannot be implemented, what solutions are there in the Ukrainian government in the face of Russia's attack? Of course, the intended solution is in addition to surviving the militarity. What do you think?
If no fly-free zone is imposed above Ukraine, we will still try to do our best to protect. We'll try to press on our partners to provide us at least with the fighters, with aircraft fighters, with anti-air systems, which can be efficient too, and now they prove the efficiency. But well, I understand that there might not be the decision about no-fly zone, but we need more defensive weapons to at least to hit down the missiles. Yeah. So what we are doing now, trying to get the new instruments, I would say, new weapons, defensive, to protect the air, to protect the civilians, because army is not suffering out of this. Who suffer are the just people in the cities and towns.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for the answer, and thank you for the question. Instagram El Nado. Those are the questions from our readers.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind, we would like to ask some questions now about you.
Please.
Okay, Mr. Ambassador.
Silakan.
Terima kasih. Of course, you have so many families and friends back home in Ukraine right now. How has it been for you being here in Indonesia while your close ones are dealing with the situation back home?
It's hard. It has been very hard because it's nearly unbearable to stay at home. Like I'm just, I turned into a heavy smoker, so I go back home, read news and smoke and think about this. So yeah, but I'm online with my family every day. And yes, just calling, making sure that they are all right. And what I understand is they are not afraid. From including my mother, 73 years old, she told me, "What? I'm old lady. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to evacuate. I have my cats. I have my turtle, and I never leave them. I just if die, I die. We die together with my cats."
They don't abandon animals.
Yeah, no. We have 10 cats and 3 dogs.
10 cats.
Yeah.
3 dogs.
And turtle and all this stuff. So we have a lot of animals there. And just we you know, when they moved from under Kiev, because it's a very dangerous place to stay now, before the anticipated attack, massive attack. So they 2 cars, they loaded all the cats and dogs and documents and just left like this. So yeah, these are the family. So it is hard, but now I'm feeling a bit better, because I know that the army is really fighting good, very efficient, and the people are not afraid. People are trying to, you know, to keep themselves safe, because it's important for everyone now to be safe, right?
Yeah.
And even under the bombardments, people are prepared, and sometimes they, you know, in advance, like 10 minutes, they go down to the basement. So I think that people are ready for everything. And this is because they don't want Russia rule again, like it has been happening for 300 years. No.
I really hope this misery would end soon. I really hope so, this misery. Now we're talking about experience in Indonesia. You've been here for how long? I'm sorry?
For baru 4 bulan.
Baru 4 bulan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not long.
In this whole 4 months, what is your most unforgettable moment since you arrived? Maybe you have some you want to share with the audience? A little bit, maybe.
It's I would say every minute of my stay in Indonesia is unforgettable, honestly, because I've never been here before, and it's like every step is a discovery, every step is a surprise, and it's always a pleasant surprise. So I just discover how in many terms how similar we are with Indonesian people.
Similar, a lot of similarities.
Yes, and maybe if you in terms of impressions, maybe one of the biggest impressions for me and biggest revelations for me was the Garuda Pancasila and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. This is a national idea for Ukraine we've been looking for centuries. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. And we, till now, I think we understood, start to realize. I mean, when I saw this and like, and then just read the Pancasila 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it was a revelation. I was really not like surprised, but I was just astonished. It's amazing. It's
so like similar ideology, we can say.
Yes, because we also have many religions, many ethnic groups, many languages, many everything. So, and they are living together and, you know, disputing, discussing, but still something was we needed something, you know, to make us really truly bersatu, yeah? And now this one is, so maybe this, but basically every day I do some make some inventions, and beautiful country, beautiful people, and real democracy. This is amazing.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. What would you like to say to Indonesian citizens regarding this Russian-Ukraine conflict, given that now many Indonesians, especially online, continue to sympathize with Russia's position? And what would you like to convey to Indonesian citizens for now?
It's very important for everyone to be able to think, and it's very important for everyone not to believe lies, because trusting lies and then supporting the aggressor is something many people would regret. And I really hope that you will be able, every one of you, will be able to look at every report coming from Russian propaganda with attention. Try to discover the truth, and you will understand what's going on. For example, this one, the last one is the last one I always see in the media is the videos of Chechen troops of Kadyrov preparing to, you know, shouting something and then going on tanks somewhere. But you know what it is about? It's about them, Muslim people, going to Ukraine to kill Muslim people in Ukraine and to kill civilians, to kill children and women. Would you support them again if you know the truth? So please, pray for Ukraine, pray for peace, and try not to be misled and misinformed by Russian propaganda. Merdeka atau mati.
Very, very inspiring. Thank you so much.
It's something I feel at the moment.
I can really see that through the emotions that you said, through the words and your thoughts.
It's very hard to address sometimes people because I see this ura, 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 this. What are ura about? It's like you can support this country or that country. You can support the politics, foreign policy or something of this country or that country. But if you really like feeling like supporting the killings, who you become? I mean, yeah, I think this is really like a misleading misunderstanding. They support what strong country. Okay, when the country, your country, is powerful, is good. You support your country to be, independent, strong, and authoritative in the world, right? It's good. But when you support whatever country, and then if you think just 2 steps forward, you understand that you're supporting the aggressor and murderer. Yeah? It's very important to think. In this era of social media, not many people really are able to analyze, to able to think, because I am like in the eyes of my kids, they say I'm ancient because I still use Facebook. What? Facebook? Then Facebook you can read, right? Then Twitter you can read, but not many words. It's a little bit. And then they are sitting in this Instagram and TikTok because it's not even necessary to read. No reading, just listen. Then 30 seconds, you don't have time to analyze, you don't have time to think. You see the picture, which tells you that, I don't know what happens, right? Yeah. So what? The killed woman is a film star or blogger or something. And so, oh really? And then you go then and then, you see, it's the brains of people are contaminated with lies, and then they just lose the ability to identify which is the truth, which is the lies. It will come later, but during this time, what will left of Ukraine? This is and not only of Ukraine. You know that back in 1995, it's again good. Maybe it's all in my Twitter and Instagram, by the way. Or not Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. The first president of Chechnya, and then Chechnya, Johar Dudayev, very famous general, who then was killed by Russians also. He predicted this war. He said that 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago, said it will be a huge clash between Ukraine and Russia. It will be a big war.
So it was predicted 30 years ago?
By many years, by many people. And he said that, yes, it will be a war, because Russia will never stop. Russia would always want Ukraine to be a part of this colonial system they created as Soviet Union. So they will never stop. And what we have now in Chechnya, like war of Russia against Chechnya, you will have everywhere if we don't unite and we don't oppose this enemy now. And but he also said that Ukrainians are always coming back for what belongs to them. So I'm proud of my nation, really, and of my president.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
We really appreciate your presence and your time. We really, really hope this misery all would end.
Yes.
You have Ukraine, have Indonesia's respect.
Prayers with us.
Yeah, we would pray for Ukraine.
My friend Mufti of Ukraine I called him and say, I can feel it even now, that the Muslim people of Indonesia pray, and we can feel the prayers. Really, it's the words, and he said that our weapon is prayers. Yeah. But if necessary, we take real weapons, like tangible weapons, and defend our land. So this is great words of a great leader of a great community of Ukraine. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Silami, and thank you so much for your time with Kumparan.
Terima kasih banyak.